Hi everyone. I'm posting this video today. Gosh, I've recorded this thing many times and I don't know why, but I don't want to post it. But there comes a point where like you really know that God is putting it on your heart, that you got to get it out there, and at a certain point you're disobeying. And so I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys about a vision that I had. First, I'm going to just preface a few things. Number one, I don't think I'm a prophet. I don't know why I get the dreams and the visions that I do, but I get them. I don't feel like I deserve any of that. I don't think I'm the greatest person in the world, none of that. But my understanding is, sometimes he chooses just regular people. In fact, almost all the time he chooses, faulty people a lot, because we're all faulty. So here's what I would say. I got saved at the age of 15, and every decade of my life from when I was saved, I've had a vision. I used to call them religious dreams until the first vision of my 30s, which I'm still in, but the first vision of my 30s, and it became very obvious that these aren't dreams, these are visions. I could not wake myself up, and it was very much a vision. I was held in it, and normally if I'm aware that I am, asleep, I wake up the moment that I have that realization, but I did not wake up. I could not wake myself up. And I won't go into the details of that vision. I don't know what to do with these visions. I don't know if they're just meant for me or if it's something that I need to share all of them. But what I do know is that the latest one, the scariest one, I know for a fact that I should share that one, because within it, I was told that I needed to witness. And all of my studies have pretty much said, well, when you witness, you tell people. And he's really been putting it on my heart to share it. And I've been very reluctant because I know I look crazy sharing it. But I mean, he's really pouring out his spirit in these last days. And I consider myself to be very fortunate to be someone that has received him, because there is comfort in knowing that it's true, that Jesus is real, his sacrifice for us is real, and it's the truth, and it's simple, very simple. That's what he did, and why he did it was for us, and that's it. And all you need is Jesus and nothing else. That is the gospel. Jesus and nothing else. That's all you need is him. So, let me tell you guys about the vision. And sorry I took forever, but here's what I'll tell you. I am now a chiropractor, and with this vision, I was a chiropractor in it. And it's very difficult when you have the visions to say what time frame it was, what year it was. It's very intentional, it seems. And in the visions, I look just like how I look now. But the problem is I looked exactly like this 10, 15 years ago. So I know we all think that, but I really don't change much. So it's very difficult for me to tell. But here's what I'll tell you. This vision, I essentially kind of woke up, or I became aware when I was in an airport. And I was just standing there. And for a moment, I'm kind of looking around because I don't quite know how I got there. But then as I'm looking around and I'm starting to see and recognize the faces around me, and these aren't people that I've ever seen, me personally, but in this vision, I knew who these people were. And so I was in an airport and I was with a very cute guy that I really liked. And I had just met him like 2 weeks before, but he was a really good guy. Just genuine. I had really strong feelings that this was a good person. And we were at the airport with his friends, which were 2 other couples. And I'm standing there, and in my mind, I'm patting myself on the back for being outside of my comfort zone, because they would do this thing. And it's weird. And I would never do this, by the way. Like, what? So they would do this thing where they just pack a day bag for like 3 days, right? And they'll go to the airport and they'll just pick a spot somewhere in the world, fly there, like no plans of where they're going to sleep. No idea what city like they're really going to end up at. They just know what airport they're going to fall into. No plans on what to take to get to where. So for all they know, they could just be stranded at the airport the whole time. Like, no, I would never do that. But for some reason, in this dream, this vision, I was very proud of myself that I was going to do that. And so we're standing in the airport, and I don't know a whole lot about travel. I don't really like it. So we're standing in the airport, and we're all deciding where to go. Well, not all, we're all deciding. They're deciding where we're going to go. I'm not chiming in because I don't know anything about all that. And so I literally tell myself, shut up, don't say nothing, because right now they think you're great and you know a lot of stuff, but you open your mouth, they're not going to think that. You just need to be like, oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. And so, so they're talking about different places, and they're saying, oh no, we can't take Nikki there. We can't take Nikki here, because I guess there's a lot of places Black people can't go. So they're discussing it, and they're talking about the politics of different regions, and I'm just, I'm kind of zoning out. And so I'm looking around, and I mean, it is vivid. It is as clear as day. Like I can, like the pattern in the carpet, the gum stuck underneath, the chairs that are waiting to get to, whichever gate you need to go to. The little shops on the inside. And I noticed, like, as I'm looking around at all of the people, I kind of thought about it later, and there were just about every nationality was there, kind of, being represented in a way, I guess you could say. And so, like, I saw the Africans, I saw the Middle Eastern people, Americans, like very, very blonde, Swedish-looking people. So there were a lot of different demographics, Indian, and some garb that is traditional to their countries, I guess. And some countries I couldn't really identify, but it's very detailed, and it's real life for all I knew. I thought it was real life. And so I'm looking at the TV screens, and the TV screens are showing, all the departures, all the arrivals. It's showing everything. And there's, a ton of TVs in a row going all the way down the corridor. And as I'm looking down the corridor, all of a sudden I see red going cancel, 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 cancel. Everything was getting canceled. Everything. And I mean, the foreign and domestic, international, everything, right? All of the flights were getting canceled. And so you start hearing all of the, rumblings of the people, because they're just like, what? Our flights are canceled? And so everyone's kind of confused, and they're a little bit upset. And so they're trying to figure out what's going on. But here's the thing, like, there's not a single employee around. Not a single employee. So there was no one to ask. And so, like, there's people that are kind of like walking around trying to find someone. They can't. And then they're trying to pull up their phones, and no one's phones are working. Like, no one can get a signal. No one can call out even. Like, no one could get a signal. And the people that I'm with, they're also confused, but they don't have a signal on their phones. And I said, maybe I do. Let me just check. So I checked my phone, and I do have signal. Like, my phone's working. Like, their phones were completely dead. Like, the screen dead. But mine wasn't dead. And so I go into my phone, and I just thought it was like something weather. So I pulled up the weather app. And the weather app kind of just, how it shows where you're at first, but then you can kind of zoom out. And so where I was at was completely red. So I was like, ooh, there's a storm right over us. And then I zoom out, and like the whole city is red. And then I zoom out, and all of Texas is red. And then I zoom out, the whole United States is red. I was going to zoom out more, but I just said, ooh, I need to update the people that I'm with and just let them know, like, there's a pretty big storm, it looks like. And when I look up in that moment, I was just, I guess, transported. I was in the same spot in that airport, but I was moved in time, forward, I believe, in time. And it was dark. And I'm standing there. Everyone's gone. And it's weird. Like, you're looking down at your phone one moment, and you look up, and then it's just dark. It's like, it's weird. It's weird. It's freaky. And so I'm standing there. I'm like, okay. But I'm not saying anything because I don't know. In movies, people that are like, hello, hello, anybody there? Like, if there is something there, like, it's obviously weird because, like, all of a sudden things are dark and you're going to yell out into the darkness? Come on. I'm not doing that. So I stood there and I said, all right, this is me saying to myself, I'm going to wait and see what happens. I am not saying anything. Like, get out of here. So I'm standing there and I'm waiting, and I'm standing there for a whole minute, but I'm starting to, like, realize how silent it was. Like, there was no sounds. There was no birds. There was no, cicadas chirping off in the distance, no wind. You can't hear airplanes. There's no white noise anywhere. It was just dead silent. It's really weird, very eerie. And so that's why I said, nope, not saying anything. And so I'm standing there, and it's kind of getting awkward. And it's a common theme with these visions. Is like, I'm standing there, I'm like, okay, yeah. But I gotta be patient. So I'm like, okay, if he's, gonna say something, he'll say something. But all I know is I'm not saying anything. And so I'm standing there, and I feel this presence that was, like, literally behind me here. And I can see in my peripheral vision, like a humanoid figure, like, someone in, like, a cape, or not like the Grim Reaper or anything. I mean, I couldn't really see, so it was just a silhouette of a person, but I couldn't see who it was. I didn't feel like I was in danger, because whatever the presence was, it was, I'm not going to say it was calming, but it was just there, and it wasn't a threat. And when I see it, I'm like, okay, I can feel this person, and they're in my peripheral. So I'm turning my head, and I'm trying to, like, see, but they're just staying in my peripheral vision. And it's kind of annoying. So I'm just like, and and eventually, like, I think I was doing it enough that eventually it was like, stop, you're not going to see me. Stop. Just quit. You're not going to see me. I think I annoyed them, but I really wanted to see, like, hey, you're standing behind me. I kind of want to see you. But it communicated with me without talking. So I don't know how to describe that, but, like, you got the full communication without talking. And this being told me that I needed to witness. It told me that I need to be quiet, don't make any noise. And it told me to do exactly as I say. So I communicated back, not verbally, but I communicated back, okay. And I obeyed. So the figure that was there told me to go through the double doors that lead down to the tarmac. And it was these two really big clear double doors, but they were opened already. And it's weird, the architecture of the airport was to where the closer you are to the building, so I was up on like the second floor, and the closer you are to the building, like the higher the like you go down a ramp and there's like railing, but instead it was just a big tall wall that prevented you from like falling off onto the tarmac, I guess. And so it's just a very big tall wall, but it's a very slow slope of a ramp. And that was just the architecture. But as you got closer to the tarmac, that, the wall came down more. Well, something that started happening is, of course, I'm walking out and everything is dark. Like, it's almost like, in the summertime when the time changes and it's like 8 o'clock at night, but it's twilight, and you could still kind of, like, when your eyes adjust, you can still kind of see the silhouettes and see some of the stuff, but it's dark, it was like that. There was enough light to kind of see, but it was dark. Like your eyes kind of had to get used to it. And so I'm walking along and I'm starting to see artifacts that people wouldn't leave behind, like a wallet, cell phone, passport, stuff that somebody wouldn't just drop and be like, oh, and then I see like a splatter of blood on the wall, and I told myself, maybe somebody had like a nosebleed or something, or, and so, you're walking because you don't quite know what to expect. And so, as I'm walking, I can see, ahead of me something. I'm like, is that a ball? What is that? Is that a ball? And so as I get closer, I realize that it's a severed human head of a woman, middle-aged woman, brunette, Caucasian woman, and she was like decapitated. Like, it was just her head just laying there, and it was her head was sliced from like her occiput to here. That's how she was sliced, and then it was like a slice to where how her, I guess, brain touching the ground, that angle allowed her to look, straight up at the sky or at, someone walking by. It was like the perfect angle to, so it was just very creepy. And as a chiropractor, I mean, we've dissected a human body. And so it's creepy, but it's not as startling, they're like, it's like, oh, well, there's a human head. So I said, okay, I need to look closely and look at the ligature marks, because I got to figure out, like, what kind of weapon do I need to look out for? What kind of weapon was used here? And so I'm kind of leaning in a little bit to kind of look at the ligature marks, and she looks at me. Her eyes move. She looks at me. And she starts to talk. And she's obviously in shock. She's saying, like, it ate my body. I shouldn't be alive. Why am I alive? I shouldn't be alive right now. I should be dead. It ate my body. It ate my body. I don't understand why I'm still alive. Why am I still alive? Help me. Help me. And she just kind of kept going off. And I'm like, I'm looking at her. And number one, like, in my mind, I'm just like, how are you even animated right now? Like, there's no blood flow to your brain. You don't even have your vocal cords because it was cut off. Like, how are you even able to talk? Like, it was very, very weird. This isn't how organic matter works, And I'm looking at it, and she's looking at me. She's like, help me. And I get caught up in the moment. I'm like, I can't help you. I don't know what to do. I can't help you. I want to help you. I can't help you. And like she was in shock, and she was so upset. And the biggest thing was she was confused why she wasn't dead, and she wanted to die. Like, she's like, I shouldn't be here like this. But when I had made that noise, and all of this happens within like minutes, okay? But when I had talked to her, the being that was with me said, "You made too much noise." And like my stomach sunk. And I heard something up at the up at the airport, where I had just walked down from. I heard something, and I looked up, and I saw 3 beings there. And here's what I will tell you. When I looked at them, they looked like aliens. But I knew they were not aliens. They were demons trying to look like aliens. They looked like metal, like a dark pewter metal, but they were organically shaped, if that makes sense. Like they had the rounded arms and humanoid-like, but they were like gunmetal, and then like any body hairs or whatever looked like steel wool, especially there was a very tall figure that he was probably like 15 foot tall. And then the next figure next to him, also humanoid, about 9 foot tall. And so automatically, like in your mind, you think male, female, but that could not, I mean, for all I know, but you just kind of have these assumptions that you make, but there was a very tall one, and then not as tall, but still tall. And then with them was a creature, like a hellhound looking creature. It looked like if you take a bacteriophage, or like a spider abdomen, and you flip it up like this, and then the legs come down off the side. But here's the thing is I didn't really see their eyes. Like there's not like, they didn't have a white of the eye, but I could feel their eyes looking at me. And this is all like in a second, and when I looked at them, I felt them looking at me directly. And it felt like when, and I've never had this, but it felt like if you were ever hunted by a predator, like if you're out in the woods and there's like a tiger that's trying to sneak up on you, and the moment that tiger's eyes are locked on you, like you're done. That is exactly what it felt like. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Like these things looked at me with such absolute hatred. Like they absolutely hated me, and they wanted to kill me. And in that moment, I also knew, like, there was so much information that was just given in that moment. I knew that I was the only person to have ever seen them and lived. Like, I knew no one has seen these things and lived to talk about it. No one. And I guess maybe the figure that was with me, like, snatched me up. But the next thing I know, it's light again. And I don't know, like, I'm still in the same airport. Like, I'm still, like, on the tarmac of the airport. But this time, I'm above the tarmac. And I'm looking above me at the sky. And I'm seeing the Hellhound that I saw earlier was slowly getting lowered down. And it passes by me, and it gets lower down, and I'm looking, and I'm pretty high up, but I'm looking, and as this thing touches the ground, it splits and divides. It almost is like a drop, like if you have a drop of water, boop, and there's, the ripple that happens. What happened is the moment it touched the ground, it multiplied in perfect unison to be like a perfect circle, and it spread out. And there wasn't an inch of land that, as this thing was multiplying and extending out, There was not an inch of land that these things weren't going to walk across. And when it was finally at, the tree line, the tarmac line, I was lowered down to the tarmac where it had been. And it's weird because I could see them, but I wasn't like there to see them. I could hear from where I was standing, but in my mind's eye, I kind of saw how they did what they, like, these things were designed to devour flesh. Like, what they would do is, like, they would unhinge. They unhinged, and so, like, half of their body, so if it's like a spider abdomen, half of the body would completely unhinge itself, and it would, like, trap down, and anything that was in its mouth was, like, completely devoured. It was gone. It was gone. It was like gone. And here's the thing is, any flesh, like birds, animals, deer, people, probably insects for all I know, but any living thing on the face of the earth, these things were wiping them out. And the scariest thing was, as I'm standing there in the middle of the tarmac, hearing the screams, it was absolutely horrifying, because it was, have you ever heard like a mother scream that, whose child is about to get hit by a car, and like, maybe, like, I've heard that scream. The child wasn't hit, but the mother's scream is like blood curdling scream, and it like hits you to your core, and that's what you hear. But it's like dead air. They stop. So you would hear, ah, ah. Even animals, like, they would be screaming or like running, or you'd hear panic, and then it would just stop, dead air. Like the weirdest sound. Just a scream, the loudest scream, and then immediate. And I'm standing there and I'm hearing this. And as these things are like spreading out, the sound is fading. It's fading, but you're hearing just absolute destruction. You're hearing just absolute carnage as these things are just wiping across the face of the earth. And I wake up, and it is very jarring what I saw. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's a certain part of the Bible or what. I don't know. Sorry, my dog is really good at picking up on emotions, so he's walking over to me to check on me. He's a good boy. But I will tell you that I was told to witness, and what I witnessed was very, very scary. Very scary. And I just know that we're coming up on it. He's pouring out his spirit. Oh, thank you, boy. You're so sweet. He's pouring out his spirit. Jesus is coming soon, and you got to get right with him. If you're not right with him, you got to get right with him right away, because he's coming. I think one of the best examples that I have is Pastor JD Farag. If you get a chance, definitely check out his ministry. I think it's jdfarag.org. But he talks about the ABCs of salvation, and essentially all you need is Jesus, and so the A is you admit you're a sinner. B is so A, you admit you're a sinner. B, you believe that Jesus is the Son of God, that he died for our sins. You believe that you are a sinner. And C, as you confess of your sins, you say out loud, God, I'm a sinner. Please forgive me for the sins that I know of, the sins that I don't know of. Be my personal Lord and Savior. And you say that out loud, and you'll be saved. Don't be here for whatever the heck that was. I don't even know. Y'all can tell me more. I don't know like what part of the Bible that would fall under even. But what I do know is what I saw, and I do know it felt very real, and I do know I was told to witness, and I know that it was like one of the scariest things that I've ever seen in my life. So that's it. Maybe in the future I'll post some of the other visions that I have had throughout my lifetime, and it's just funny how, you know, even back when I first got saved, there was just a lot of symbolism and everything, and I just didn't understand it, and it didn't make sense. But, you know, the more I learn about the Bible, there's things that, you know, looking back at those visions is like, oh, that's kind of how they do things. That's how they talk. That's how they communicate. And, you know, things that I've seen in my visions that, like back then, you know, you don't really think about it, but then as time goes on, you're like, oh, that was a flat screen back then. I was looking at a flat screen, and we didn't have flat screens back then, kind of thing. Just as an example. But things that I saw back then that didn't quite really exist at that time, as far as I knew. But anyway, I think I'm rambling now. But you guys, just get right with the Lord. He's pouring his spirit out, and I think we really need to pay attention. I think we need to get right. I think we need to get ready. So, you know, just let me know what y'all think. I really hesitated on posting this just because, you know, it sounds weird, honestly. And as a doctor, I just don't want people, you know, like, oh, got some screws loose. Sometimes I feel like that with these visions. It's like, why? What do I do with this? What does it mean? So, but yeah, if y'all have any interpretations, please definitely, you know, let me know. Or if you guys are familiar with discerning those types of things and symbolism and whatnot. But yeah, I just figured I would share. A lot of people have been talking about rapture dreams. I've had those too. I've had quite a few throughout my lifetime, and I don't know what they all mean. So, all right, I guess it's playtime, so I'm gonna cheer myself up and play with the dog a little bit. But get right with the Lord, and God bless you guys. All right, bye.